Hey everyone, Josh here with Fresh Start Customs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to assemble the card cartridges for the spinning card holder here. I'm going to show you at the end of the video how to make the base. I've already have a clip from the spinning card holder. I'm using the same base as that, so I'll show you how to make that. I just wanted to do a video to show you how to assemble just the card section. For the card cartridges here. That's what I'm calling it because they're swappable. As you can see, I already have this one built, and then these cartridges will pop out. I'll show you that here in just a second. So let's go ahead and build these. These can work with cards or soft sleeves up to 3.8 inches tall or 2.75 inches wide. So I personally have soft sleeves on these. If you're gonna do like a hardcover and you're like really big into like collecting cards, you probably have your cards graded. So this won't work for that because those come in those big chunky plastic graded things. These are basically for your average card collectors that don't want to pay money to get their cards graded, but they want to keep them in good condition and display them. This will also work with raw cards as well. It'll work with baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic cards. It'll work with any of them as long as it's 3.8 inches by 2.75 inches or smaller. It will fit inside one of these little cartridges here. So to get started, what you want to do is you want to unmask your product. As you see, I have a lot of extra parts here because I'm going to be doing that for like all of my cards here. So you won't get all of these. You'll just have 4 pins for your cartridge. As you can see, I've got a huge amount. I'm going to be doing this later. But once you unmask it, you're going to have 2 acrylic pieces that's going to be sandwiched around your centerpiece. So we're going to take your first acrylic. You're going to lay your centerpiece, which is your walnut proof grade material. All of these are proof grade material items. So I'm going to just take my Jim Lachey card that I have autographed here. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. This does have the plastic sleeve on it. It's just the soft plastic. This probably won't work with the hard plastic unless it's smaller than that, but the hard plastic may end up being a little bit tighter or wider, and they vary, so that's why I'm only going to say soft plastic ones. So you're just going to line that up, and then you're going to line the next acrylic piece right on top of it. And then just like the base, which you'll see in just a second, or if you've seen the previous video, we're going to assemble it using these little pins here. So these pins, I'll get you a better view of these in just a second here. But these pins, you'll have 2 different kinds. There'll be one that looks like a C and one that looks like an L. You're going to use one of each for each slot. So you can either have the C pointing down or pointing up, whichever way you prefer, it doesn't really matter. And you're going to line up these pins and slots and you're going to push it through. So once you have the C clamp, it's going to look something like this. Hopefully you can see this on camera here. And like I said, I'll give you just a close-up here from the actual base that I showed just a little bit ago. So once you have your C clamp in, you're going to push that all the way to the side, so it's going to basically clamp or hold those together. And then you're going to use your L shape here, and you're going to push that in the opposite side. If you just printed these off, you can kind of flex these with your hand if you need to a little bit, and then you can push them into place. And then it goes in a little bit easier by hand that way, but it's going to get really tight once it gets to the bottom here. So as you can see, it's sticking out a little bit. You're going to rubber tip hammer the rest of that the way through, and then that will get in place. The only thing that's really different between this and the base is you want to do these one at a time, where the base you can kind of line up and get them to this point and then hammer them down, because the base is wood on both sides. This one's acrylic on both sides, so if you hammer all 4 down at once, you could potentially crack that bottom sheet. So that's why I recommend doing it one at a time and just holding it while you do it. So right here, I'm gonna hold it like this, put it onto the table, and then lightly tap it into place. If it's getting too tight, like I said, you can kind of flex it with your fingers to try to help that spring as well. See, I got a little bit more I got to tap down. Just want to be careful with it. There we go. So as you can see, I got that tapped down. It's going to look like this afterwards. Let me see if we can get a little bit closer there for you. And then you're going to just repeat that process for all the rest of the sides here. So I'm going to fast forward this now that you know how to do it. But remember, one at a time. I like to catacorner it as well. If I start here, I like to do it down here on this side next, and then just catacorner, just like you would if you're screwing down a board. Alright, there you guys have it. So as you can see, it's all connected. Didn't crack any pieces because I put them in one at a time. Like I said, if you end up putting all four in, kind of like you're going to see in a second with the base, since there's acrylic on both sides, these can tend to, the little C-hooks can tend to rotate backwards as you hammer the next one down, and that can cause a pinch in there and cause it to crack the acrylic. So do these one at a time. The base, it doesn't matter because it'll be wood, acrylic, or wood, and then that acrylic will be sandwiched and nice and tight in between so it won't crack. So that's the tip for the base, and this is the tip for the cartridges here. As you can see, now that we have our cartridges done, now all you can do is you can just pop these right off of the base here. They just pop off straight like that, and then you can pop your next card into place, and then you can display it however you'd like to display it. Just like that. And then you can go ahead and spin your display, and then that's pretty much it. So you can read the stats on the back or the front. And I hope you guys enjoyed this project here. I'm going to go ahead and add the clip from the other video. So it's going to look like the pen stand from the other video, but I'm going to just show you how to do the base since I'm using the same base as that last video. But that's pretty much it, you guys. That's how you create the cartridge. And then I'm going to show you the base here in just a second from the pen stand. And like I said, this will work with pretty much any trading card that's under 3.8 inches by 2.75 inches. It'll work with the soft plastic cover sleeves as well. That's what I would recommend using, is the soft sleeves in there, just so they don't like rattle around or rotate as much. If you have a raw card in there, it will be easier for it to move in there. So just a heads up on that, but you can use a raw card if you want, but just keep in mind that it will be loose in there and can rattle around a little bit more. But that's pretty much it, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get to making the rest of these cartridges, and that's pretty much it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the project. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be building the bottom here. So you're going to be starting off with the base. It does have a hole in it from that bottom gear. This hole isn't technically used, but this reduces friction surface of the gears. And speaking of the gears, you will want to use acrylic so it spins easier. You can use wood, but it tends to have a lot of friction, so it's going to catch more often. It is possible that these can catch, so you'll just have to be careful every once in a while. So next what we're going to do is we're going to use your middle divider here. We're going to just lay that middle divider on top here. I'm going to try and move some of this out of the way for now. So once we have the middle divider on top, we can then build this small gear. The small gear, you're going to be using these two pieces, and those are just going to pop together like that. And once we have that built, we're going to use these two little small U-shape pieces here. You're just gonna slip them together sideways like this, and you might have to work, there you go. Once you have those sideways, you can just drop that piece right down in here, just like that. So once you have that piece in there like this, you can go ahead and drop your smaller wheel on top here that you just assembled. Just like that. So now that we got the small wheel in, all we got to do is put our big wheel in place, and it's just going to drop in place here, and you're just going to have this free float for right now. Lastly, what we're going to have to do is put this little acrylic piece on top just like this, and that's going to line up right there with this little piece that holds the small wheel in place. So at this point we have the base completely laid out in its layers, and then this is where the pins get a little bit tricky. Some people will have the pins, and then they'll try and push it in by hand, and it'll be kind of hard. So you can use a rubber tip hammer at this point. But what you want to do, I'll show you guys a side view, but what you want to do is you want to put the pin through the holes and make sure all the holes line up, and you'll lift up from the edge a little bit, and then you'll push the pins over just like this. And I'll show you guys a closer view in just a second, but I wanted to show you how you can get started. So you can get started by putting it just like this here. So you put the first one in, slide it over, and then put the pin in place. And then you can do the same process for all the other sides, and then you can rubber tip hammer all of these down. So let me show you a quick side view of this with the rubber tip hammer really quick. And then as you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these pins in by hand first as much as I can. Just work my way around. So just like that, we're going to do the other ones here. And then once you have them all in place like this, you can use your rubber tip hammer just like I showed you a second ago and pound them all down. And there you have it. You now built the base, and now all you got to do is put the top onto the base. You can do this by hand, but if you're having troubles, you can use a rubber tip hammer. Just don't hit it too tight, because this is a free-floating design, so it has that hole in the bottom there. So you're just going to want to line that up by hand if possible, and then rubber tip hammer it if need be. That's pretty much it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the build, you enjoy the project. If you want to purchase it, I do have the link to my Etsy shop below. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the day, and we'll catch you guys next time.